Herb Kelleher, sitting in his office, told me exactly what was happening. And based on the research that I'd done for the book, I was like, well, then if this is happening now, then this will happen to your company. And Herb was like, yeah. And I was like, that's going to be a disaster. We called it. I put it in print. Huh. It was typeset in 2019 and has been eerily accurate.
You got a horse in the fifth race for me? Hey, it's E.B. Moss, and that was author and inventor Jim McKelvey explaining how a conversation with the late Herb Kelleher, founder of Southwest, predicted challenges that the airline is having today. You know what else Jim predicted? The success of his little invention called Square with co-founder Jack Dorsey. Now called Block, it transformed the world of mobile payments. Now, this is the first of several interviews that I had the chance to do with past winners of the prestigious Folio Awards for publishing. These folks will be inducted into the Hall of Fame in October, and they've since reinvented their work or their place in the world. So here's a little more with Jim McKelvey in episode 41 of Insider Interviews, where you get the insider scoop on the business of media, marketing, and advertising. I've never really researched Jim McKelvey before. I found out I'd have the opportunity to interview him about 7 minutes before I hit record in my Descript studio. And from what I know so far, he is one of the most interesting guys I've ever had on Insider Interviews. Welcome, Jim. Thanks for doing this.
Thanks, CB.
Okay. So
you can say that because you don't know who I am.
That's true. Now, in a little bit of my research, I am going to make you do the thing you hate most, which is please just share a little bit of what would be on a Wikipedia page. You've done a bunch of stuff, but how do you summarize it for us?
I'm a guy that's had no focus for 30 years. I was a professional glass artist. I am transport category pilot. I am glass artist. I've got industrial designs in MoMA and the Smithsonian. I'm a computer scientist. I was on the Federal Reserve. I used to vote on interest rates. That was fun. Started Square, which we now call Block. Built the hardware for it. Have started a bunch of other companies. But look, it's a mess. Basically what I do is I build tools.
Yeah.
And I build things. And right now I'm working on a plastic-free diaper, which may or may not work.
Plastics-free diaper.
Plastic-free diaper.
Tell us.
A diaper with zero plastic in it.
Thank you.
It's very, very difficult to do this. But
yeah.
The diapers last for 1,000 years.
Yes.
And they become these horrible microplastics that are sort of bad for the world. And I just thought it could be possible to do it without plastic. And so I've been working on it for 5 years with a team. We're this close to a breakthrough. That said, we also had an explosion in the lab the other day. So,
no.
A little explosion. Not a diaper explosion.
Oh,
but
well, that's good. That could be messy.
Something blew up. Look, I work on projects that are right now sort of long shots because I'm in a position where I can take a long shot.
Mm-hmm.
I've made way more money than I ever expected. My wife and I have taken the giving pledge, so we're going to give all the money away. But in the time, I can take crazy risks. So the diapers, I'm working on FDA trials. And I also just built this product that I don't know what to do with it. It's amazing. It allows you to accurately manage or measure any brand or person. So anything. And I should give you the URL.
Yeah, measure in terms of what? It's
so
brand resonance?
Should I screen share here? Like, is this a time when we do a screen share and I just show you this?
Sure, let's try it.
So I just happened to be talking to one of the guys at Pepsi. So this is what Pepsi had on here. So this center is every quality that any person or product can have. So
and I'm going to read a few of them out. It says like trendiness and flexibility and authenticity.
Yes. So and under each of these are things that co-vary. So for instance, trust. I've got the tab open for trust. Trust and honesty are not exactly the same thing, but if you measure them together, they will tend to rise and fall at the same time. Security is not the same as trust, but again, security and trust tend to have high covariance. So what we did was we basically took every quality in the world and we measured their covariance and then collapsed it into these 15 different qualities, which can be measured for any product or person. So for instance, I can say Pepsi, and this is Pepsi's graph. Well, what does Pepsi care about? Well, Pepsi probably cares about Coke, right? So you can see how, Coke maps a little bit differently. You can also see something called the power score, which is that Coke has a much larger following and a much larger impact on the world than Pepsi does. They're a much bigger brand.
Wow.
But you don't have to just do it between product to product. You can also do people. So for instance, if we have Pepsi set up here, it turns out that, Rihanna is actually the best brand fit for Pepsi. But, down here at number 3, which is kind of cool, is Billy Idol. You will see Billy Idol actually fits the Pepsi brand really well. It's super fun. And here's the thing, we're giving this away right now. You can go to www.powerscore.ai, but it's spelled PWR score, PWRSCORE.ai.
Okay.
You can use the tool for free. I wish somebody would tell me what to do with this thing. I show it to marketing managers. They all love it, but then I don't know how to charge. I mean, I never planned to build this, but it was this tool that I needed to do some work that I was doing, and I had to eliminate bias, because what I realized was that there was a lot of bias in my work that I couldn't control. So this mathematically eliminates bias. It is so beautiful, and it can do it for any product or anything. So we can take, we can take Chanel here. We can take cocaine.
Oh no,
there's cocaine. There's cocaine, right? But and you can have fun with it. Like, so for instance, this is one of my favorites. If you take the physical attributes of cocaine,
yes,
and then you want to find people who fit that brand, the best brand fit for cocaine, let's see, is Marlboro cigarettes. But the best person is Donald Trump. Like, look at Trump's scores versus cocaine.
Okay.
I don't know what this means.
I don't either.
But it is eerily, and we got Christian
The
Slater
charm
here.
point on that is a little low, but the independence line is pretty high. So that's interesting.
It's crazy. It's crazy. And
wow.
And this is not my opinions. This is just math.
Right.
This is just how math co-varies qualities between people. So anyway, that's Power
Fascinating.
Score. If someone could figure out a way to make money with it, I will. I'll just give the money to a good charity, because we're giving it away.
I love that. Well, that actually brings me to another question. A lot of what I ask my guests is their definition of or use of pro-social activities or brand purpose. How do you think brands should embrace brand purpose? And what are you doing? You're giving your money away.
So first of all, you want to watch the brand, okay? Which is to say, associate with people who enhance what you're doing, not who do what they did with Bud Light, right? So Bud Light was one of the strongest brands in the world and was literally destroyed by a bad association. They zigged when they should have zagged on trans rights,
right,
and literally destroyed the top beer brand in the world. And it has not recovered. The company was damaged, and it was completely knowable. Like, if they had my tool, it would have shown in stark graphics how much of a risk that association was and how potentially negative and destructive it was. And, and I'm from St. Louis, so I see this happen. I was like, well, how could I prevent this from happening? Well, this is what was the inspiration behind this, because it wiped out part of my city. Like, Anheuser-Busch used to give generously around town. Well, they can't do that unless they're selling you beer. They're not selling beer anymore. So I've got hospitals that are it's a tragedy in St. Louis.
Yeah.
And the question is, how do you prevent this without introducing your own bias? Which is why we did all this math. And I won't go into the math because it'd put all your listeners to sleep. But the point here is, EB, that we should, if you are being responsible for a brand, which can be a personal brand or it can be something that you're selling, a product, you don't know how the world perceives you. And you really have no way to, in a real time, measure that. Now, the LLMs actually know a lot about this, but there's no way to quickly synthesize it. So we came up with this LLM-based visualization that allows you to, as somebody who's managing a brand, to know what you represent and then know what others represent.
I see.
And that is so important, because who you associate with and what you associate with is either going to enhance or detract from your brand. And you should make those decisions positively. You don't want to do what Bud Light did.
Brilliant. One of the things that you've famously said is that you want to be a conduit to ideas. You want to help people be inspired and innovate. You want to solve problems and inspire others how to do that. And you've clearly solved a few problems, and you're on your path to a few more. God bless if you can get plastics out of diapers, for example, because that's in all our bodies.
We'll have that in a year.
Yay.
We'll
Excellent.
have that in a year. It won't be commercially available, but it'll be in prototype in a year.
All right. It's a start. So in the meantime, how do you approach a problem? What sparks your ideas, and how do you advise others how to get out of their own way and identify the problem and the inspiration? Do you know what I'm trying to ask?
Yeah, I know. And I there's a whole chapter on this in the Innovation Stack. Look, I believe
Innovation Stack is the book that you recently
the Innovation
published.
Stack.
Yeah.
Published right in the middle of the pandemic. Nobody saw it because I published it at literally the worst time ever.
Right.
It went public the day the world shut down.
Oh, Jim.
Our drop date was March 10th, 2020, and that was the day I was literally in a TV studio doing an interview about the book when they turned the studio off. Like the cameraman took off his headset and was like, "We're gone." Anyway, blah blah blah. Don't feel sorry for me. But
I don't.
If you don't want to read the book, I will tell you that the thing that I have always focused on is things that anger me, and I look for problems. I don't look for opportunities. To me, everything's an opportunity, and so I don't know how to differentiate. But there are certain things that really bother me, okay? So watching, the destruction of the Bud Light brand. I mean, and I'm not a big Anheuser-Busch fan, but they were doing good in my city, and that was a stupid mistake, and it pissed me off. And so here we sit with PowerScore. Square, I was selling some work in my glass studio, and I couldn't take an American Express card, so I lost a sale. Pissed me off. So I built, I called Jack Dorsey, and he and I had already decided to start a company together, but we didn't have an idea. So the idea was a problem that I had that was very personal. The diaper thing, I have a couple of kids, and I use disposable diapers. When I learned that a diaper lasts for 1,000 years on the planet,
Holy
and that
moly.
I was using 6 of them a day, and I thought, oh my God, me times every other parent.
Yeah.
What are we doing to this planet? And is it possible to get the plastics out of the diapers and still have one that functions? So to be determined there, but I think we'll get it. So in my world, I get to this point where I'm angry enough about something that hasn't been done.
Yeah.
It also has to haven't been done. I mean, I do stuff for fun that's been done, but if I'm doing work, I only work on unsolved problems, which is weird. And
But isn't that the definition of a problem, that it's unsolved?
Well, yes, it is. Although, somebody would say we don't have enough coffee shops in this neighborhood. And if you open a coffee shop, that is a solved problem. You can say, well, we don't have enough health care in my town, which is true. And I could open a clinic, which is good, but there's a formula for that. So I'm looking for problems for which the first solution has not been discovered.
I see.
That's where I focus. And it's a brutal thing to do.
Since you won your award in 2018, what's changed in the industry?
Well, a ton. I mean, we first of all, Invisibly has now sort of abandoned its core goal of trying to save journalism through micropayments. We built what we thought was the ultimate system. We made premium news free without ads or paywalls. We released it to the public, and 8% of the people wanted it, which was heartbreaking. So we ended up, it was one of the central assumptions of Invisibly was that we could give people control of their attention and then sell that, and then and all that worked. That part worked. What didn't work was that people didn't want news. They didn't want to, even if you made it free, even if you made it accessible, even if you took away all the blocks and the ads, fewer than 1 in 10 people in the United States actually wanted to consume it. And we were shocked. But that was, I think, the major insight. The other thing that we learned was that we were actually overly successful, like surprisingly successful, on getting people to share their data. That was something that people were very willing to do. So we're now in the data collection business. We're doing surveys like crazy. It's mostly a platform for market research and advertising. So the company makes money. It just didn't save journalism.
What does being inducted into the Hall of Fame mean to you personally?
I'm not a big Hall of Famer. I'm grateful. I keep a very low profile. I don't think I'm a brand. I have a partner who's a lightning rod for attention, and I love him getting that attention. But my job is to build things. And if the world likes them, then I hand them over to others and go on and build something else.
Okay, this is a little bit maybe more up your alley. What's your go-to hobby or ritual that helps you recharge?
I've got two. Glass blowing is probably my main one. And I say it's a hobby, but I used to do it as a profession. So I still make things and sell them. So I go into my studio. Unfortunately, my studio was largely destroyed by those tornadoes that hit St. Louis a couple weeks ago. So I'm kind of out of business till the end of the summer. The other thing that I do, which kind of clears my head, is I fly airplanes. Not fancy airplanes like small, crummy airplanes, but it is one of the things I do where my mind doesn't wander. In almost everything else I do, I have a hard time focusing my attention. But when I'm blowing glass or when I'm trying to pilot an aircraft, I am focused. And so those are the two things that I do.
Is there a mentor who changed the course of your career? Feel free to name names.
So there are two. One of them I never met. It was A.P. Giannini, who nobody knows about because he was potentially the richest man in the world, but he gave away all his money as he was earning it. So he would have been richer than Carnegie or Vanderbilt or Rockefeller. He would have been the richest person on the planet. But he started Bank of America, originally called Bank of Italy. And when I was doing the research for my book, The Innovation Stack, I found that Giannini's path 100 years before what Square did was eerily similar. And so for those of you who haven't read the book, what I do is I chart these companies that defied the odds and triumphed when you would expect them to be killed. And when Amazon attacked Square, when we were a startup, everyone expected that Square would die. Instead, Amazon gave up. And we're the only company to ever beat Amazon head-to-head as a startup. But not the only company in history to do something similar. So A.P. Giannini and Bank of America had a very, very similar story. The other story that was similar was Southwest Airlines. And I consider Herb Keller, who I did meet while he was alive, to be in a similar situation. As a matter of fact, if you read my book, I predicted what happened to Southwest Airlines. Like everything that is happening to their stock price and the chaos, I foreshadowed after my conversations with Herb and put it in print. They should pay me to be on that board. Called it. I know exactly what happened. And it was because their founder told me what was going to happen.
Oh, really?
Herb Kelleher, sitting in his office, told me exactly what was happening. And based on the research that I'd done for the book, I was like, well, then if this is happening now, then this will happen to your company. And Herb was like, yeah. And I was like, that's going to be a disaster. Now, this was 7 years ago. We called it. I put it in print. Huh. It was typeset in 2019 and has been eerily accurate.
Wow. You got a horse in the fifth race for me?
Man, I wish I had another one. I should have shorted the stock. I mean, it would have been offensive for me to do that with her still being alive, so I wasn't going to do that, but I should have.
Yeah.
I would now.
Yeah.
I mean, I would do the same thing. If I see another company doing that, I'll definitely pile in.
Yeah. Well, I think we have to kind of thank heavens for Jim McKelvey, who is solving some brand problems with Power Score and some earth problems with plastic-free diapers. Thank you, Jim. I want to be respectful of your time, and I'm going to drop 2 names for you. Hopefully you know of, have attended, or will participate in Sustainable Brands. Coanne Skrziniar, the founder of Sustainable Brands, has been on my show a couple of times, and I'm a huge fan of what they do, which is gather folks around to solve problems of sustainability when you're a big old brand. And then the other is, I love the fact that you're a glass artist. And one of my dear friend's brothers is Steven Weinberg, another glass artist who has shown in the same museums as you. And I'm so sad to learn that your studio was destroyed in the tornadoes. And that kind of threads the needle with Sustainable Brands, because weather is impacting your very work and your contributions. And anyway, that's just me expounding a little bit of our overlap.
I've been super lucky. So I think it's a real privilege to be able to do stuff where I don't have to have an economic outcome.
Yeah.
You know.
And
if it works,
we're the
great,
luckier
but if it
for it.
I'm fine.
Yeah. Thank you so much for joining me today. Well, I hope you got some good insider scoop from this episode of Insider Interviews with me, E.B. Moss. If you enjoyed this content, please feel free to buy me a coffee at buymeacoffee.com/mossappeal. And I hope you'll follow Insider Interviews on social media and let me know if you have a question or a suggestion for a next stellar guest in media, marketing, and advertising. Speaking of stellar, my theme music was composed and performed by the incomparable Grammy-winning John Clayton. If I can help you with your company's podcast, please find me at mossappeal.com. Thanks again for listening.